It is believed that Nicholas Breakspear was born at Bedmond Farm in the parish of Abbots Langley in Hertfordshire in the year 1100. There were few records of births back then, and none at all for peasants. A small plaque commemorates the event as follows. Nicholas Breakspear, Pope Adrian IV, was born here about 1100 AD. According to Abbey chronicles, he was the son of Robert, who became a lay preacher at St Albans Abbey. Better sources now agree that Nicholas's father was actually named Richard, and he is recorded in the Canterbury obituaries as Richard, priest and monk. In 1978, during archaeological excavations, the remains of Nicholas's father, together with several medieval abbots, a cellarer and a surgeon, were relocated from the chapter house and laid under the presbytery in front of the high altar. Nicholas had worked as a farm boy in Bedmond and had ambitions to join his father at the abbey. He approached the abbot to be accepted as a monk, but after being given a trial, he was rejected. Some sources suggest that after his rejection, he travelled south to study at Merton Priory in Surrey, where Thomas Becket also studied in 1128. A bronze plaque depicting Nicholas Breakspear and Thomas Becket with King Henry III was commissioned by the London Borough of Merton for presentation to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II on the 15th of May 2012 to mark her Diamond Jubilee. In 1128, the ancient monastery at St Lo in Normandy was re-established, and Canon Theodoric from Merton Priory became its first abbot. It has been suggested that Nicholas Breakspear was a junior member of the brotherhood that Theodoric led to Normandy. An alternative explanation for Nicholas's journey to France is that he made his own way in 1120, crossing from Dover to Calais via Rochester and Canterbury. There is evidence that he continued his theological studies at St Denis in Paris, being tutored by an Irish monk named Marianus. He quickly journeyed on to Arles in Lower Burgundy, where he spent time with the new Norbertine order, and from there he went to the Augustinian monastery of St Ruf in Avignon, where he was at last accepted into the canonical profession. Nicholas spent most of his adult life in Avignon, where he was promoted and ultimately elected the 10th abbot of St Ruf on the 29th of January 1147. This Gothic relief of St Augustine, surrounded by monks, tops the portal of the former Augustinian convent of Santo Stefano in Venice. The photo is by Giovanni dal Orto. For much of his time as abbot of St Ruf, Nicholas Breakspear worked on the Pope's behalf in Reims and later in Catalonia. Pope Eugenius and Nicholas forged a close working relationship, and during the Second Crusade in Spain he became the Pope's envoy, laying siege to Tortosa. This work in Catalonia earned him promotion to Cardinal of Albano, 15 miles south of Rome. In 1152, Cardinal Breakspear travelled to Scandinavia as papal legate to reform the Norwegian Church and bring its practices into line with the rest of Europe. His task was to separate the Church from state, and in this he succeeded. His return journey took him through Sweden and Denmark, where he also introduced reforms. During his absence, Pope Eugenius died, and was replaced by 80-year-old Pope Anastasius. Cardinal Breakspear returned to Rome in late November 1154, and on the 3rd of December Anastasius died after being Pope for only 17 months. Nicholas Breakspear was elected as his replacement on the 4th of December, and he chose the name Adrian IV. His papacy was to last for just over 4.5 turbulent years, with conflicts in Benevento and elsewhere. Today's basilica in Vatican City is not the St. Peter's that Pope Adrian would have known. The old basilica was a 4th century church begun by Emperor Constantine between 311 and 333 AD, built over the shrine to St. Peter. It contained a very large number of burials and memorials. The 16th century Pope Julius II demolished the old church, and over the next 120 years it was replaced with the basilica that we know today. Pope Adrian IV spent the final 10 weeks of his life in the hill retreat of Anagni. He was not a well man. It is thought that he was suffering from quinsy, a painful infection of the throat, and he died on the 1st of September 1159. His body was carried to Rome for his funeral on the 4th of September, and he was entombed in a sarcophagus in the nave of the old basilica. During its demolition and reconstruction, his body was moved and eventually reinterred in the new crypt, where it remains to this day. Pope Adrian IV is commemorated with a bust and a painting in the lobby of St. Saviour's Church in Abbots Langley. This portrait by Guido Francisci is on long-term loan from the Hertfordshire County Council. St. Lawrence Church, Abbots Langley, was built and dedicated at around the same time that Nicholas Breakspear was elected Pope in 1154. In the south aisle, there is a plaque commemorating both events. To find out more about Nicholas Breakspear, visit allhs.org.uk and follow the link to What Do You Know About Abbots Langley?